Hello mathematicians, this is Mr. Oliver. Here is your next lesson on divisibility rules. Let's go ahead and start off our lesson by defining what divisible means. Divisible means that a number is divisible by another number if, after dividing, there is no remainder at all. So here's some examples here. If you take 32 and divide that by 8, you can bet that will not have a remainder. Sorry about that. You can bet that will not have a remainder. 32 divided by 8 is 4, right? 35, however, divided by 8, that does not come out cleanly. You get a decimal. If I were to do it using the traditional division algorithm, oops, that's 8, not 7. My mind wants me to divide by 7. 8 goes into 35. It divides into 35. Don't tell another math teacher I just said goes into. But 8 divides into 35 4 times. 4 times 8 is 32. Subtract. Let me get my calculator. 35 minus 32 is 3. And that's what my calculator says, because that's tough math right there. So remainder 3. Okay, so what's my point? 32 is divisible by 8. 35 is not. 35, we have a remainder. 32, we have no remainder. Sorry about being sloppy here. Okay? So go ahead at this point right now, copy down these divisibility rules. So you're going to want to pause the video, copy them all down. Do not go into the next slide until you have all this down. The rule for 2, the rule for 3, the rule for 5, 9, 10. Okay? Write down the rule. Write all of that down, and write down some of these examples. It would not hurt you to write down some examples. You have to have something to go by in order to figure out what these mean. So write down the rules. When you're done, go to the next slide. Do not go or do not unpause until you have all of this down, okay? If you're at this point in the video, you have written down all your rules. You know the rule for 2. You know the rule for 3. You know the rule for 5, 9, and 10. Okay? You have that on paper. You've written it down. You might have gone over it mentally. Now let's go over some examples here and see and test the divisibility of certain numbers. Okay? So we're going to test the divisibility of 2, 3, 5, 9, and 10. And let's just start with 2. Does 2 divide into 87 evenly? And that would be no. So I'm not going to check that one off. That would be a big no. Why? Because it's not even. If 2 goes into it, it ends in a 0. It ends in a 2, a 4, a 6, or an 8. Okay? So it has to end in one of those 5 digits. Otherwise, it will not be divisible by 2. Okay? So we can say 2 was a big no. All right, now let's move on to 3. Okay, 3, does 3 go into 87? Now the rule for 3 is kind of cool. You have basically what you have for 3 is that you have to add up the digits. So add them up. 8 plus 7. It seems kind of weird, but 8 plus 7 is 15. All right, and does 15 divide by 3 evenly? You bet it does. Therefore, 3 is divisible into 87. 3 divides into 87 evenly. And I can test that by just doing a little division here. 3 goes into 8. 3 divides into 8 twice. Bring down the 7. 3 divides into 27 9 times. So there you go. 29 times 3 is 87. You would not know that because you didn't have to learn your 3 tables your 3's up to 29, right? You probably in 4th grade, 3rd, 4th grade, when you were learning your multiplication facts, you probably learned up to 3 times 12. 3 times 12 is 36, but you probably didn't go any further than that. So we have these little divisibility rules. Now the rule for 3 is the same, almost the same, as the rule for 9. So why don't we, while we're at it, just do 9, okay? So let's do 9. So check off the 3. We know that works. This was a no. And the rule for 9 is the same as the rule for 3. Add up the digits, and of course we got 15. And does 15 divide by 9? Does it divide by 9? That would be no. Okay, that does not work. So that would be a no in there. So the rule for 9 is you add up the digits and you want to get a number that's divisible into 9. Now what numbers are 9 divisible into? Well, 9 is divisible into itself. 9 is divisible into 18, into 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, lots of numbers, right? 72, 81, 90. And what are those called? Those numbers that 9 are divisible into are called what? Rhymes with schmultiple. That is right, multiple. Okay, those are called multiples. 90 is a multiple of 9, 9 times 10. Okay, so we've determined so far at this point that 87 is divisible into 3 and 3 only. Okay, we've checked 2, we've checked 3, and we've checked 9, and we only have one yes. Okay, I'm going to erase this. Now, the rule for 5 and 10 are very similar. Now, the rule for 5 is you look at the last digit. And does 5 go into 87 based on its last digit? I would say no. The rule for 5 is it better end in a 0 or 5. That's the rule for 5. It better end in a 0 or 5. So if this was 85, yep, we could put a yes. If this was 90, we could put a yes. If it's 91, we'd have to say no. Okay, so the rule for 5 would be no. So far a lot of no's. Okay, the rule for 10 is we want one digit and one digit only. We want the 0. We want a 0 at the end. We want a 0 here. And that 7 obviously does not look like a 0. I hope it doesn't look like a 0 to some of you, because it's not. It is a 7. If it was 80, 90, 100, 2 million, whatever the number is, as long as it ends in a 0, its last digit, its ones digit, is a 0, then 10 would divide into it. So the only number, in closing here, the only number that was divisible into 87 was 3. That was it. 2 was a no, 5 was a no, 9 was a no, and 10 was a no. So 3 was it. Why did 3 go in 87? Because its digits added up to a number that was divisible by 3. 15 divides by 3. Therefore, 87 divides by 3. Okay? Next slide. 48. Let's test 48. Let's go a little bit quicker here. I'm not going to go into as much detail because we just talked about a lot of the rules in the previous, with the previous number. Okay? So does 2 divide into it? Does 2 divide into it? And let me call my mom, ask her, and see what she says. And she told me yes. And my mom told me that it ends with an 8. Therefore, 2 goes into it. Why is 8 a good number? Because it's even. All right, let's look at 3. Now, if 3 goes into it, the digits add up to something that is divisible by 3. 4 plus 8 is 12. Now, does 3 divide into 12? Let me get my calculator out. I'm gonna hit some buttons. Oh, yep, it worked. Okay, 3 is a yes as well. All right, we're getting more yeses here. Does 5 go into it? Oh, this kind of looks like a 0 right here. That looks like oh, wait, that's an 8. That is an 8, so I would say no. And we could say no for 10 as well. Okay? And then 9. 9's got the same rule as 3. Add up the digits. 4 plus 8 is 12. I don't know why I'm doing this again, but I think it helps because I have trouble adding 4 plus 8. So does 9 go into 12? Does 9 divide into 12? No, it does not go into 12. So that would be a no. So we got some yeses in here. Okay, 2 and 3. 2 and 3 both worked. Okay, that does it for that one. Let's go on to another example here. 51. I can't think of a single number that goes into 51. Let's just skip it. No, let's keep going here. So 51. We can obviously say that 2 would be a no. This is not an even digit. We want that to be a 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. Not a 10, because 0 is basically what the 10 is. Let's add up the digits for 3. 5 plus 1 is 6. Does 6 divide by 3? It does. That divides by 3. So this would be yes. Does 5 go into it? Hey, there's a 5 here. There's a 5. Right? So 5 must go into it, as long as there's a 5 in it. No, no, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. It's got to be this digit, right? It has to be this digit. So does 5 go into anything that ends in a 1? I hope not. It does not divide into 51. So this would be a no. The rule for 9 is like the rule for 3. Does 5 plus 1 add up to a number that 9 divides into? No, it does not. Not unless you turn your paper over and it becomes a 9, and that would not count. So that would be a no, and that would be a no. Okay? Moving right along. 90, let's check this one out. Does 2 go into it? Does 2... All right. 90, does 2 go into it? Let's check this out. Does 2? Oh yeah, it does. It ends in a 0. Holy cow. So this would be yes. You bet it is. All right. And while I'm at it, it ends in a 0. What are some other numbers that are good for 0? If you're saying 5, then you are correct. Yes. And what other number? 10. That is correct over there. Okay, so you've got, right off the bat, yes, yes, and yes. Okay? Now let's look at the rule for 3 and 9. Now the rule for 3 and 9 is you add up the digits. Well, this is not hard, but I'm going to show you anyway. 9 plus 0 is 9. And does 3 divide into 9? It does. So 3 works. And 9 works. Why does 9 work? Because 9 divides into 90. Okay? Also, 9 goes into 9. It divides into 9. Don't tell anyone I'm saying go. Goes into, but I say that sometimes. You know what I mean. 59, let's check this out. I bet it's all of them. Let's check out all of them here. I bet all of them go into it, right? Does 2 go into 59? No, that's not an even number, so that would be no. Does 3 go into 59? Well, let's add up those digits. 5 plus 9 is 14. Does 3 divide into 14? No. Does 5 go into it? No, it ends in a 9. It has to end in a 5 or a 0. Does 9 go into it? Oh, yeah, it's got to be, right? There's a 9 right here. There's a 9 right here, so 9's got to go into it. But that would be no. So far I've got a lot of no's. I'm going to write all these in here. And does 10 go into it? No. So check it out. 59 has no factors at all. Well, at least of the factors I'm dealing with here. It's prime. Okay, but we haven't talked about primes yet. But it is. It's a prime number. Okay, at this point, write a one-paragraph summary of what you just learned. Okay, try not to look back. Just write down everything you can remember. See how much you can recall. You'll be surprised. Have your flip notes ready tomorrow before you do anything practice-wise in class. If you did not watch this video, you will have to. You have to watch this video if you do not know how to do your divisibility. Okay? So everyone have a great night. I'll see everyone tomorrow.